Hey everybody, it's your girl D here with 8th House Energy, here to bring you another segment of the Cruel Summer series. This series was designed to give people a little bit of information about the energies that we're going to be feeling during this summer. Okay, there are about 5 or 6 planets in retrograde right now, and then we also have Chiron, the wounded healer, in retrograde in Aries right now. Aries is in the first house. All right, so let's dive right in and talk about Chiron, the wounded healer. But before we do that, let's talk about Aries in the first house. All right, so Aries is in the first house. This deals with your physical appearance. This deals with your characteristics and your traits, who you are personality-wise. This also deals with first impressions, how people see you when they first meet you for the first time. This also deals with your general outlook on the world, how you begin things and how you initiate things. All right, so this is what the first house deals with. Chiron is a wounded healer, and he's a comet or constellation that's been in Aries since February of 2019. And he will be in Aries until 2020. So we have a long time where we'll be feeling some of the effects of Chiron in the first house. All right. But Chiron is going retrograde. Actually went retrograde yesterday, which was July 8th. And it's going to be in retrograde until December 20th of this year. So we have a couple of months here where we're going to be dealing with the energies of Chiron, the healer. So just so you understand a little bit about the energies that you're going to be feeling in reference to Chiron, I want to give you a brief a story about Chiron and how he became the wounded healer and how this relates to us. Now, there's different variations of this story, but I'm just going to give you a quick, simple version. I'm going to have a link down below of where I got the version that I got from. You can take a look at that. You can do some more research on it if you want to confirm the other versions and just compare the information just so that you get an understanding of Chiron and who he was. All right. So we start with the immortal Cronus. Cronus is spelled K-R-O-N-U-S. Cronus is also known as Saturn. Okay. And some people also say that Saturn is Satan. All right. But I digress with that. You can do your research and find out more about that. But Cronus was a Greek god. Okay. And he was a father. Okay. And what happened was when he grew up, he overthrew his father. Okay. So part of Cronus's prophecy was that when he had children, his children were going to grow up and overthrow him. So in order for him to avoid this, he wanted to avoid this at all costs, but yet he had many children. So what Cronus did was he went and he ate his children. This is Greek mythology. Work with me. Okay? So he went and found his children. He had a few children. One of them was Zeus. So he had ate about 4 or 5 of his children. And so he was out one day looking for Zeus. Okay? Because he had acquired a taste for children. So he was looking for Zeus to eat Zeus. Zeus was his child. So while he was out looking for Zeus, he got sidetracked because he saw a beautiful nymph named Philra. Okay? Philra caught his eye and totally distracted him from looking for Zeus. So Philra was a nymph. Okay? And when Cronus saw her, his sexual desires just went through the roof. It was really crazy how he was attracted to her. And he would really just come at her, okay? And his sexual advances were definitely unwanted by her. She was so afraid of him and so mortified of, his advances, his sexual advances, that she was so distraught that she turned herself into a mare, which is a form of a horse. And she did that so that she could maybe distract his sexual attention. Maybe he wouldn't be as attracted to her anymore. So when Cronon saw her and saw that she had turned herself into a mare, he decided to turn himself into a stallion. Okay? And when he turned himself into a stallion, he had his way with her. Okay? And this wasn't anything nice. Because, again, she did not want him. So he brutally, raped her. Okay. Now, as a result of the rape, Philra became pregnant. Okay. And she had Chiron. Okay. So Chiron was born. Philra was psychologically traumatized by the brutal rape. So much so that she just could not bear to keep Chiron. So she abandoned Chiron. And by the way, Zeus never returned to her after he brutally, brutalized her sexually. He never returned. She never saw him again. Okay? So she was pregnant. She had Chiron. She couldn't deal with seeing him and reminding him of the brutal sexual assault she had experienced, so she abandoned Chiron. So that is Chiron's first wound, being abandoned by his parents. Chiron was adopted by his uncle Apollo, okay? Cronus is Apollo's grandfather. This is Greek mythology. Work with me, okay? So Apollo took Cronus in, okay? And what happened was Apollo's the god of music, prophecy, poetry, and love. And he taught Chiron everything he knew. All right. So Chiron grew up to be a renowned healer, a renowned prophet. And he was so famous, and people admired him for his work so much that he was able to teach the sons of kings. And he also taught many famous Greek heroes like Achilles and Hercules. Okay? Now, what happened here is really tragic. But what happened is Hercules was, he fought a lot. He was a god of war. Or one of, he had a lot of wars, let's put it that way. And so one of the wars that he had was with centaurs. Centaurs are half horse, half human. They're immortal beings, okay? And so when Cronus raped Philra, Chiron was born, and Chiron is a centaur, okay? And if you want to get an idea of what a centaur looks like, if you think about the sign of Sagittarius, where you have the half horse, the half man with the arrow, that's a centaur, okay? So Cronus was a centaur. He was raised by Apollo, taught all of the things that Apollo knew, and he grew up. Chiron grew up to be a world-renowned prophet and teacher and healer, very wise. So he taught heroes. He taught sons of kings, and some of the heroes that he taught were Hercules and Achilles. So one day, Hercules was always at war with centaurs for some reason, okay? Despite the fact that Chiron was his teacher, he had something going on where he was always at war with centaurs. So one day, Chiron is in a group of centaurs, okay? And they're laughing and joking or what have you. And Hercules comes about. Hercules doesn't know that Chiron's in the group of centaurs. Hercules immediately goes into war mode. And so the centaurs see him and they start fleeing. They start running off into the woods. And so Hercules immediately takes his arrow and just starts shooting, okay? And the unfortunate thing is that Hercules hit Chiron. He hit Chiron in the knee. Now, the unfortunate thing about it, you would think, okay, well, Chiron's immortal. He could heal, right? Well, no, the unfortunate thing about this is the tip of the arrow was laced in Hydra's blood. I'm not sure what Hydra's blood is, but the effect of it is that when you're wounded by an arrow that has Hydra's blood on it, that wound will never heal. It'll be very painful, will never heal. Now, because Chiron is a immortal, he's going to live forever. But he has this wound now in his knee, which is never going to heal. Okay? Just imagine walking around with a disability. It's never going to heal. Okay? But what happened was years had gone by. Chiron still taught. He still was a prophet. He still was a healer after many years, walking around with this wound that would never heal, and it was very painful. Hercules saw this and really, felt really bad about this. So just hold on for that a second. There's another story that ties into this. So Zeus, remember we talked about Zeus, Cronus was the father of Zeus. And Zeus was out looking, Cronus was out looking for Zeus because he wanted to eat Zeus. He didn't want Zeus to grow up and overthrow him on his throne. So that's when Cronus was out looking for Zeus, and then he ran into Philra, and he raped Philra, and Chiron was born. So many moons have passed, and Zeus is now an adult. Zeus had a Titan warrior that he was holding hostage called Prometheus. Okay? I'm not sure what Prometheus did. You may want to Google that. This is more Greek mythology. But Prometheus was tied to a rock. And so what would happen is the eagles would come every day and it would literally open up Prometheus. Could you imagine the pain of that? Open him up, eat his liver, and then fly away. And overnight, his wounds would heal. His liver would be magically restored. And then the next day, the eagles will come down again and eat his liver. So this would happen repeatedly every day, okay? And so because he was a Titan god, he would never die, okay? He was immortal. So he would just suffer this agonizing pain day after day, day after day. The only way that Zeus will release Prometheus is if he had another immortal to replace Prometheus. So Hercules found out about this. Hercules went to Chiron because, Chiron was very tired from this wound. It was a lot. Okay, living with years with this wound, he got tired. So Chiron found out about this from Hercules, and he arranged to meet with Zeus. Okay, Zeus was his half brother, believe it or not. Again, this is Greek mythology. Work with me. All right. So Zeus agreed. He said, "Okay, Chiron, if you're gonna take Prometheus's place, then that's fine." So Zeus let Prometheus go, and Chiron took his place. And so Chiron then became immortal and then passed away. Okay, he died. And as an honor to Chiron, they named the constellation of Chiron after him. Okay, so the moral of the story is that no matter what physical ailments you have, no matter what internal ailments you have, you should love yourself. And the first house is about self-worth, okay, and self-love. And so Chiron's energy that's, manifesting on us in retrograde between now and December is going to have a lot of us addressing internal wounds in reference to self-worth, and some of us who have external wounds in reference to self-worth. And so this energy is going to be presented to us, and it's going to be putting us in a position where we're going to have to look at that, accept our flaws, all of our flaws, no matter what they are, and realize that no matter what your flaws are internally or externally, you are a magnificent being. You have value, and you should have self-worth because you have something that you can teach, you have something that you can share. Your experiences could help others deal with their internal and external flaws and live with their flaws altogether. So again, this energy here is going to be a little hard for a lot of people to deal with because it's going to force you to look at how you look at yourself, how you feel about yourself. And what it's here to do is to help heal those wounds that you may have incurred through no fault of your own. Internal wounds, external wounds, through no fault of your own that you've incurred. And this energy is here to tell you it's okay to accept yourself and love yourself despite those energies, despite those experiences that you had. You're still valuable. You still have worth. You are very important. And you can help someone else realize that by just living your life despite the flaws that people can see and the ones that they can't see. Okay? So these are the energies that some of us are going to be dealing with. It's going to be very difficult. It's going to be very trying. But this is the whole purpose of it. So if you're around friends or family or colleagues and they're going through some things, you may be the person they may confide in about some of those insecurities that they have, about some of those things that happened to them that they experienced that were of no fault of their own but affected their self-worth. So if you happen to be privy to that information because someone thinks that you're very special, to share that, okay? So keep that in mind. If someone comes to you and shares that, just be as understanding, as compassionate as you can. If you feel comfortable sharing with them some of your personal flaws, perhaps the two of you could help each other to heal, so that you both can restore your self-worth to a whole, in which where you accept who you are, flaws and all, and that you are able to project that energy to others to help others do the same. All right? So I hope that this video was helpful, and I was happy to be able to present this information, and just want to let you know that if you want to check out some of the other videos for the Cruel Summer series, please do so. And I'm going to end it here. I want to thank you for tuning in. It's your girl D with 8th House Energy. Peace out.